you have to go through an internal battle to say, people around me are not going to understand, and I have to be okay with that. Don't expect people to understand. Don't expect people to have the same passion that you have. So I think a lot of times the reason we stay stuck is because we're worrying so much about that. And then because of that reason, if we do take that leap, we are so scared to fail. My mindset had to be, man, everything in my life, Tony Robbins says, life happens for you, not to you. And when you believe that, you are no longer the victim. You take ownership for what you need to take ownership for, and you move forward. Every single day, you have the gift of moving one step in the right direction. The broken mentality for me was that I believed early on, now it's since shifted, as you've alluded to, but early on, it alluded to the fact that the only way that I'm going to make a lot of money is to do something that I hate to do. But if I do something that I love to do, I'm going to have to be okay being poor.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Brainwash to be Broke series. Today's guest is someone who walked away from all the boxes she was told to fit in and started building a life that actually felt like hers. She's a keynote speaker, podcast host, and coach who helps people turn their authenticity into their greatest advantage. Through her work and her show, the Be Jennuine podcast, she's helped tons of people get unstuck, own their truth, and finally feel proud of the life they're living. I'm so pumped to have her here today. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Jenn Gray. Welcome,
Thank you
Jenn.
so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Amazing. So, I would like to start with let's go back to the beginning. When you were growing up, what did success mean in your world?
Great question. So for me, I always felt like success was for someone else. Like I watched families be successful. I watched the men in three-piece suits head down to downtown Atlanta, go into the sky-rise buildings, be a CEO of companies, climb the corporate ladder. So when I thought of success, I genuinely thought that that is not the path that I was born into. And that was something that was far, far away from me and was a completely different personality. And yeah, it was totally the corporate ladder is what I viewed success as a young girl.
Right, interesting. So, when it actually like was it already like from the beginning that you like that who actually give you the script that you supposed to go and follow this way? Like, was it teachers or was it your parents or how it actually started for you?
So interesting. You know, my dad was a serial entrepreneur and but I watched him fail a lot, to be honest with you.
Mm,
So in my mind, I thought he was crazy growing up. Now I've learned otherwise, I'm like, okay, I am built from you. The apple didn't fall far from the tree. So when I saw success, it looked like stability, right? So it did look like the teachers who had the job and had the benefits
right.
packages. And my mom was actually an HR director. So, after
Mm,
she stayed at home with the kids, when she went into corporate America, it was very much the stability. And so what I thought was that's what it looked like, right? You have to pick your career, you head down that road, and that's what it's going to look like. And later I did shift, actually, even before I went to college, and because I didn't see myself in that. And
mm,
so, but in that, I also never assumed that I would be monetarily successful
mm,
because I was like, I don't fit that mold. Like, I don't want to go down there. In fact, I actually went to college to be a US senator at first because I thought the way to influence people was that I needed to be on Capitol Hill and I needed to be into politics.
right.
Then I later learned that was not for me either. I'm like,
Wow.
wait. There's got to be a better way to influence people. But still, in growing up, yeah, I mean, just think about everything culture highlighted, right? As far as success, you see the big billionaires who have these real estate, huge empires, or they're buying businesses, or they're again working that corporate ladder. And so I think
Totally.
it was everything from society to watching the comparison of my dad and my mom, and then even just seeing the rest of culture and the friends, families that I saw and what appeared to be success and what types of jobs they held, that
Mhm,
I, at a very young age, felt like I decided subconsciously
mhm.
either I'm going to chase my dreams or I'm going to follow and be
Right.
successful.
So was there a moment that you was like, okay, so this is how it's supposed to be? Is that really like correct way to go and live life?
Great question. Yes. So like I was saying, so it kind of felt like I could either go down the path of cultural success and what that would look like to be able to have a huge house and all the cars and picket fence and all the things. But I knew that I didn't fit into that mold. And so
Hmm.
from that age, that's where the broken mentality for me was that I believed early on. Now it's since shifted, as you've alluded to, but early on, it alluded to the fact that the only way that I'm going to make a lot of money is to do something that I hate to do.
Wow.
But if I do something that I love to do, I'm going to have to be okay being poor. I'm going to have to be okay just finding my identity somewhere else and it being about the impact and influence. But there's no money. That's what I believe. There's no money when you follow your passion. There's only
Mm.
money if you're stuck in a job 9 to 5 doing something you despise.
All right. So that was your like the belief from the beginning
Yeah.
that you actually need to, okay, that's that. Wow. All right. Wow. And now like where was the moment that you actually figure out that this path is not the right? Like when was the moment for you when you figured this out?
Couple of things. So first of all, so when I went to college and when I had this desire to impact people, I really did want to influence people for good. I wanted to make their lives better. And the only thing in my sphere of in my realm of influence was, okay, if I want to do that, then I need to go run for a political office and go work in Washington, D.C. And so that's what I went to college. Like this is the only way that this is going to work. And then I got to my first class and Adam, it could not have been more like which one of these is not like the other. I'm like, there is to be a better way to impact people. And I was searching for that answer. And so I felt like in that moment, I gave up the dream of impact that would
Mhm.
make me financially successful. And I had chosen the rebellious path of I'm going to trailblaze what I actually want to do. And I am going to forfeit the money because I built my first business in the context of the church. And I don't know,
Right.
how familiar, are with how that works, but I was a woman in leadership in the church, trailblazing that because I wanted to impact teenage girls. And which means, in some sense, my reality was true in that business because I did not make a lot of money. And I was okay with it because I
Mhm.
loved being able to help these girls in the season that I needed help when I was growing up. And like,
Right.
if I can be for them what I needed, it's all worth it.
Right.
And so, honestly, in that first journey of my life, I believe that what I was taught was true. If I
Oh,
don't go down this path, there's no money
yeah.
otherwise.
Yeah.
And I lived that for a long time. I worked hard. I built massive teams. I was
Mm.
gathering, 500 to 1,000 girls in a space, and I was making poverty level money.
Mm.
And so in my mind, so it wasn't until later in my life till I had another influence that shifted that. But for the first 2 decades of my life, I thought that was true, right? Like,
Mm.
okay, Jen, you didn't choose the path of financial success. You chose the path of your passion, and there's no money here.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. So what religion you are actually?
Okay, so I'm a Christian. I grew up in a
Christian.
Baptist church.
Yeah,
I'm
same. Yeah.
non-denominational now. So yeah, so I grew up in a Baptist church, and
Amazing.
everything I did was in the context of the church
All
because
right.
I wanted to
Oh
have
my
this.
gosh, yeah. It's
Yeah,
so interesting. I saw like when I'm going more and more into like and being longer and longer in a business, so many people are like really in religion that like they really believe and it's so interesting for me because I think I feel more aligned to God than ever before. I never been like that and it literally this was one of the thing that really like awoke an interest in me also to actually figure out things on that what is it about and all sorts of things. But yeah, anyway, so
yeah,
um I don't know about you, like you've been from your young age already, like religion, you've been always going to church and so on, like it was the way that you've been raised.
for sure.
Yeah, all right,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
okay,
yeah. So
interesting.
yeah, I was raised in the church. Yeah, and I literally went back to work at the church that I, was raised in, and so it was, this whole
Wow.
circle. So I do think being a man of faith, when you grow up, I don't know about for you, but for me, that was a part of the belief system was that,
Mm,
you hear money is
yeah.
the root of all evil, right?
Mm,
Like pride comes before the fall, and so I had looked at money as evil, but
hmm.
yet then my eyes were open later to see, man, how much can God do with a lot of money in good person's hands? And there's so much abundance and he
Hmm.
wants life to the fullest. But that was something that I had to learn way later on in life that no, I think we've messed up the translation of that. And yes, absolutely. If you love anything over God, that's going to end up where your life's out of balance.
Mm.
But money does not have to be evil. It's what you do with it and what it
Wow.
does to you. And
Yes.
that was something else I had to rewire my brain to shift that, okay, no. I'm a good person and
Mhm.
I have amazing things I would do with money. And so therefore
Wow.
it's not the
Yeah,
money, it's ultimately it's
amazing.
way
Yeah.
than that.
That's awesome. Yeah, really love that. Back to the point when it started shifting for you, and did you have to give up some things when you realized that this script is actually not how you should live your life? What you had to give up?
This is a loaded question, so buckle up. So it affected every area of my life. Actually, when I was 36, I was at the peak of my career. I was hosting these events with girls all over my community. I was speaking all over the place. And unfortunately, it shined a spotlight on the fact that my marriage was something that was not in alignment. And I had to make a very, very difficult decision to go through a divorce with 4 kids with a job in the church. And so, Adam, I lost my job. I lost my community. I lost so much. But what I started to see was my whole world and my whole, even outside of the business realm, my whole upbringing was that my life existed for the satisfaction of other people. Therefore, I didn't have a voice. I didn't have decisions. Even that, like I got into a marriage saying, I believe that I can be a good helpmate to this man. And he's, that's what I got into it. But it wasn't this full picture because I wasn't raised to worry or to understand that I have a voice and I have an opinion and my voice is strong enough to dictate and even our gut instincts, like I had these gut instincts and I was taught to silence those. And when I gave them a voice, there was a whole lot more inside Jenn Gray than I had even released. And so even in that, it literally reminds me of this caterpillar into a butterfly. And in that caterpillar phase, it is no joke. It is painful. It is stripping away everything, every belief, every lens in which you view life through to then ultimately come out on the other side in a healed state. And it took me years to do that. And there was painful years for about 3 or 4 years. And then on the other side, what then I realized is, man, like the brokenness rebuilt me into a person that I'm proud to be, where I'm not stuck to something that's not in alignment. And I am so thankful that, my ex-husband and I have a great co-parenting relationship now, and there's peaceful relationships, but that didn't mean that, that was right. It's again, it was stripping away everything. And even that, I built something so beautiful, and I believe I built it in the wrong place
Mm,
because ultimately I built a ministry called The Table. I
mm,
wanted girls everywhere to know that they had a seat, that they belonged. And as the leader of
mm.
that business, of that ministry, I ultimately then no longer had a seat at the table because I became a liability instead of an asset. And so, where you build your business is just as important as staying close to your core values and knowing I'm going to build this in alignment with who I am, because then it can never be taken from me. And that's what I learned, going all through
Amazing.
all that. It affected every single area of my life.
That's so amazing. Yeah. When you actually went from figuring out that you don't really have to follow the script and there is a different way. The thing is that once you start giving up the old path,
Mhm.
you need to be prepared that the road in front of you won't be easy. It's going to be messy. It's going to like there is so many different things that you need to learn and start figuring out because there is no like it's not like a path that somebody handed you and just go and this is like how you're gonna be successful. So tell me more about this. Yeah.
Yes. So right after the first downfall of my life, that was in 2019 when I had to completely rebuild.
Mhm.
And here was an important part. Here's why my tagline is that your authenticity is your superpower. And
Mhm.
authenticity is kind of this buzzword that goes around, but I believe it's so much deeper because
Mhm.
you don't know who you really are until you heal through the pain, and the pain isn't a reflection of who you are anymore. And so in 2019, when everything crumbled, Adam, I went from having no enemies in my life to I
Oh.
didn't even feel like I was welcome in my own community. I
Mhm.
built brick walls to escape from people and all
Mhm.
of that. And I was ashamed because people didn't understand. And then, anyways, it was crazy.
Mhm.
I wish I could say that that was the catalyst for the immediate rebuild, but that I
Mhm.
wasn't healed and I was responding and living life out of pain. And when
Mhm.
you do that, hurt people. And I continued to hurt myself in just the choices that I made. And, it was just like running from anything that was a reflection of what I used to live because I just felt so kicked down and kicked out by that community in the hardest season of my life. And so the rebuild that I did in that season, I'm not proud of because in fact, I had to burn that down in 2023.
Mhm.
And I came to a realization that I looked at myself in the mirror and I didn't even recognize the two eyes that were looking back at me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, Jenn, like, where did you go? Like, what are you doing? This is not the legacy that you're trying to leave
Mm-hmm.
these four amazing kids. This is not the impact, the
Mm-hmm.
influence that you want to live. And so in between all of that, of course, there was COVID. And
So
so
that
America
time, that
shut
time,
down.
mhm.
Yeah.
So that time it was happening when you had already kids and you been rebuilding everything during that time.
Yes. Yeah.
That's oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, completely. Yeah. So I'm
Wow.
rebuilding all of this again as a single mom of four kids. I have a 15, 12, 11, and 9-year-old. So I am the thick of motherhood. It's amazing and it's so fun. But yes, navigating all of that through these journeys, because I have
Mm-hmm.
a very powerful quote by Ed Milet. And he
Mm-hmm.
said, the greatest form of parent neglect is
Mm-hmm.
for a parent to not chase their dreams and let their kids watch it. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, here we go. And so, even that for someone who may see the need to change the path,
Mm-hmm.
then I want you also, then you've got to heal through. And like for me, whether it is loss or it's divorce or it's a job change or whatever the catalyst may be, or maybe it's just a wake up call, in your own mind,
All right.
that you have got to heal. And what I mean is that, like you just said, it's your mindset. My mindset had to be, man, everything in my life, Tony Robbins says, life happens for you, not to you. And when you believe that, you are no longer the victim. You take ownership for what you need to take ownership for, and you move forward. Every single day, you have the gift of moving one step in the right direction. And so for me, a workout routine became like my mental health stability. It was every morning reminding myself, Jenn, you can do hard things. You are going to get up at 5 in the morning. You are going to do the burpees. You are going to get yourself in that cold shower, and you are going to rebuild. And it was a slow rebuild, but what I knew is I didn't fit where I currently was. And that's where, if anybody hears that, that's when you decide that you are not headed down the right direction. If you lay your head on your pillow at night and you are not proud of the person that you are, a person you're showing up as, that is a huge light bulb moment that something needs to shift. And then, like you just said, well, now what? Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And that's when the work begins. I read the book, The Magic of Thinking Big. I got around amazing leaders through podcasting, Mel Robbins, Jamie Kern Lima, Ed Milet, and so many others that were filling my mind with the keys to success, because success leaves clues. And I went from being a leader who hated to read to, oh my goodness, my mind has been so expanded by the possibilities and what's out there. And I want to share a quick story about the person in my life
Mm-hmm.
that let me see that all that I am is actually a massive recipe for success.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had a business mentor through 2021 through 2023, Jessie Lee Ward. She
Mm-hmm.
was a massive leader in the network marketing space. Now, I wasn't even a part of her company, but I found her through another online event through COVID. And what I saw was someone on the screen making tens of millions of dollars a year, and she was as real as they come. She was loud and she was fun and she led with kindness and with empathy. And I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
She's not the three-piece suit walking into that corporate building, and she's making lots and lots of zeros on those checks, right? Like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
much money.
Yeah.
And what she was doing with that money was so impactful, and she was helping other people do it.
Mm-hmm.
And 2023, when my life took a huge turn, she actually got diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. She was 34 and the peak of her career, making millions a month, impacting hundreds of thousands of people, and got a stage 4 diagnosis with no types of pre-existing feel, like she didn't even know she had it. And I watched her live the last 6 months of her life with the most purpose I've ever seen anyone live their life. And she didn't give her life away to her diagnosis. Instead, she gave in to the idea that I have a short time to make impact. And although she never thought she was going to pass away, September of 2023, she lost her battle to cancer. And in that moment, I realized not only have I seen someone live authentically and make a lot of money do it and influence a whole lot of people and help a whole lot of people, I now have something that she doesn't have, and I have a voice. And that was the trigger in me that there is enough time being wasted, enough time waiting. Jenn, let's just jump and let's just get started and let's just do this thing. And so those were that's my path. That was my influence. And that was really the trigger for me to take back that microphone on my life
Mm-hmm.
and to then move forward in a way that honors who I am and the impact and influence that I want to make.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's so powerful story. Wow. If you would talk to somebody who is in the same situation where you've been like deciding to go, or not, what would you say to them that how they should start or what they should do and or like to change or escape from the script of being limited?
Great question. I love this because the first thing you've got to do is you've got to take care of what's going in here.
Mm,
You've got, if you are waking up and watching the news in the morning and filling your mind with fear and scarcity, that's affecting you every single moment. This is our greatest asset. And
mm,
so this became everything that I was worried about. I wasn't sure exactly what it would look like. And in fact, I got into insurance, and just because I wanted to help people, I needed to make money. And, even that, so now that's rolled out, and now I've kind of put that to the side. But in the beginnings, don't try to figure it all out yet, but
mhm,
try to unleash the thoughts that don't suit you. Because if you come to this point, and so when I did, I was like, I will never be treated like this, or I will never view life like this ever again. Okay. So then what am I going to view life like? Well, how am I
mhm,
going to be treated? And so literally first of all, I read a book, Reinvention Formula by Craig Siegel. Very, very good, but very practical book on reinventing your life from
mhm,
every single pivot. He went from being Wall Street to now he's like a mindset business coach.
mhm,
And so just watching his journey. So I read that book. I was listening to Mel Robbins. She had an amazing podcast, literally all the way back into 2023, that talked about being a beginner and owning that you're a beginner. But again, deciding that I'm only going to build a life that's in alignment with who I am.
mhm,
And that's where I had to break down. And I came up with three core values. I'm like, who's Jenn Gray? I want to be about kindness. I want
mhm,
to be about empathy, and I want to be about excellence. So whether I'm building my life or I'm building a business,
mhm,
when I step into a room, I want people to feel seen. I'm empathetic. I want them to feel heard, and I want them to know I'm going to do it with excellence. So you may need to sit down with a journal and say, who am I? Like maybe you don't know what career you want to go into. Okay, well, that's okay. Right now, you are going to unwire so we can rewire. So make sure that you're filling your mind with positive things. Make sure the people you are hanging out with are people who are headed in the right direction. And Adam, for a long time, that means I joined an online business coaching community because I didn't know where those people were in my own community. And I didn't know where to find them, but I knew that I could go online, join up with a group coaching, and then I could be around like-minded people that would remind my mind of big things.
right.
And that's why
So
that book,
true.
The Magic
Yeah.
of Thinking Big, was revolutionary in my thinking. When you can know that there's so much more out there for every single one of us. And so for me, even like starting a podcast, one person would say, why would you start a podcast? There's millions of podcasts. The right kind of thinker says, that is amazing. Get your message out there. You're going to align with the right people.
Right.
Those voices are huge and they're so different. And you've got to decide which voices you're going to listen to. And so start to listen to that and get into another great book is The Slight Edge. It
Mhm,
reminds you of small daily disciplines that will set you apart of someone else. But again, those were kind of some things for me that in the very beginning, it
mhm,
was I have to change the way that I think. And when you take ownership,
mhm,
you realize, remember, whatever's causing you to want to shift and to change your path
mhm,
probably took something from you and took part of your voice. And when you go and you say, I got to reclaim that. I've got to get that back. Then you're going to go back and you're going to take that microphone back and you're going to say, I'm worthy of building a life that honors who I am and who I want to be. And I'm going to surround it, even if it's a small crowd, surround it with people who believe in that type of living. And they're not stuck in the 9 to 5 corporate life living. And that's fine for some people, right? That's perfectly fine. But I knew that wasn't for me. So I need to get around thinking and people that were thinking in that direction.
mm. That's so powerful, right? And so much information is out there and it's just waiting for you. Like, if you want to really change the script, like you have everything in a nutshell. You just need to decide and really take the action. And especially with the AI, what is going on now? There is so many information. It's literally just hanging out there and waiting for you to actually discover it. You just use those things because anyway, like this is like I don't know if you agree with this or not, but most of the things that I can see now is not that there are lack of informations, there are lack of action, and people
Oh,
don't take any action. Right? It's a
100%.
huge, and I don't know. Do you think that there is like something that actually people keeps not doing, or do you think there is like some type of like they're scared to do those steps to actually change those things? What do you think? Why is actually happening that people are not taking the action?
I love this question. I think it's a couple of things. I think, first of all, I think a lot of times the reason we're stuck is because we've listened to the voices around us for so long and we don't want to shake the boat. So maybe
Mhm.
someone, they went to college to be a brain scientist and they went and they did all that, or brain surgeon, and you go through all this school and you're so invested in your career. Well, then what happens when you get to be 45 and you say, you know what? I am passionate about investing into kids' sports and I want to make them better. I want to take and make that. You have to go through an internal battle to say people around me are not going to understand, and I have to be okay with that. Don't expect people to understand. Don't expect people to have the same passion that you have. So I think a lot of times the reason we stay stuck is because we're worrying so much about that. And then because of that reason, if we do take that leap, we are so scared to fail because
Mhm.
people already think we're crazy. And
Yeah.
we're like, oh, no, we're going to prove them right. Now I'm going to fail in what I just left my career for and took this jump, and now I'm not immediately successful. That's why it's all about the voices you listen to. When I listen to what's the name of the company? Tommy something. Anyways, he made
Mhm.
literally undergarments, right? So, but he was Tommy John. And when
Okay.
I listened to an interview of the originator of that, he was this very, very high level brain surgeon making
Mhm.
so much money. And he said, I am so sick and tired of being in the hospital all day and having boxers that ride down, or they don't, it's not comfortable, or it's, undershirts that don't fit right. And he started this company and went out, and I heard an interview, and this was so powerful. It took him 5 years to make any money. Now, y'all, put yourself in his shoes. Brain surgeon making tons of money. He has a family, he has a wife.
How
He
long?
left here.
Sorry, just how long it took you to start actually seeing progress and having like being able to like start generating income from the thing that you actually do?
2 years.
2 years.
2 years.
Amazing.
Yes. And I know where I want to go, right? But yeah, 2 years. Yes. 5 years.
Five
Okay.
years.
There you go. So I love that, right? And it's because we know that the only way we fail is if we give up. We don't have this timeline that everyone else has, or the perception that there's this timeline of, oh my goodness, if I don't succeed right now, then I'm going to fail. Right. And that's not it. So, like, he knew. And so he was in an interview and they asked him, they're like, man, you have this family, you launched this crazy idea in this space that's so saturated. Like, what made you not give up? And he said, I was never told that I would succeed in the first 5 years. I knew it was going to fail after fail after fail, but I
Mhm.
believed in it. And I knew that the only way this was going to fail is if I threw in the towel. And so I never threw in the towel. And now
Mhm.
it's worth billions of dollars, right? And so, how many times do people worry about people who actually have zero to do with any part of their success?
Mhm.
And we let them dictate what we're going to be willing to risk and that we're willing to bet on ourselves.
Oh,
And man, you got to listen to these voices like this guy who made, Tommy John, that says, just keep going. Like, it's going to be hard. And when you know that it's going to be hard, you're not surprised when it is hard.
yeah.
You're expecting it to be hard. You're like, okay, this is what they warned me about. This must mean I'm on the path of success. And that looks crazy to someone who's never been on it before, who's worried about security and having a job that pays like this, and that just different expectations. And so that's why the voices are so huge.
Oh yeah. All right. Yeah, totally.
You
Like
get it.
yeah, it's yeah, it was long journey, like totally like so many things had to shift and like and I think it's for everybody for everyone who's going to pick this path. But in the end, like, it's so much worth it. That is like for me it was like there is no other way than that. Like what like do you want to go back and follow the script or do you want to go and make it happen? Like
Right.
there is no other way.
Yep.
Like and I want to come to this point with you because it's like, you know, we are taught something that is not even like how you know that is really true. Those things that they are telling you. Like,
Mhm.
do you are you sure that, for example, I we've been actually talking with my girlfriend about things the other day, and like, you know, like how we know actually that like when we came to this world, it was already here. Like certain things was already like made up somehow. Like all the thoughts that we are like that hold us down are
Mhm.
like it's already like somebody made them up and we are just following them without even thinking about them that is if it's actually true or not, right? Like
Right.
it's really interesting to see like we've been having a conversation that what ordinary people do usually, like most of the people in the world, they do every day. And it's like when we coming to the point that there is something like that we can see that most of the people do, I'm always asking myself, is this actually the truth or is it just somebody made it up?
Yes.
Right? I don't
Yes.
know if you have this type of thinking also, but
Yes.
this is really it's really interesting for me. Maybe I don't know if that's common or if just some people are actually having this type of thoughts, or
Right.
what is your take on that? Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think probably any of us who have rewritten the script, we
Mm-hmm.
had to realize everything we were told isn't meant for everybody. And
Mm-hmm.
so when you have that realization, then you start to question everything. You're like, okay, wait, hold on. Because yeah, I mean, even to think that the same life and the same culture that even our parents and our parents' parents lived in is just completely different. So why do we think that we have to take that mentality when our culture, just even technology wise, is
Mm-hmm.
completely different? Like, could you imagine our grandparents building these social media influencing, type businesses and having that and being able to sell things and make a ton of money? And no, that's foreign to them. Of course it is. That was not the world they lived in. So we don't need to take their script and
Mm-hmm.
think it's supposed to work in 2025. But sometimes that's just what we do. And then even if you take even someone now currently who's living, don't take the script of someone else's insecurities and fears and make it your truth. We've got to think through the mentality in which they're even speaking their truth and saying, are they living a life that I would want to live? If not, then their script is just different. So let them live their script. And there's other people who may want to follow that, but that's not my script. That's why it's important to find people who are in your lane doing it. And then you're like, oh, hold on. They've got the script I want to follow. Right. And knowing that there's multiple scripts and we're all coming from a frame of reference based on how we were raised, what our beliefs are. And so everything but people, like you just said, people will present it, especially on social media platforms, as if it's the truth. That's perfect. It's the truth for them. You need to find the people who align with where you're going and
Mm-hmm.
follow their truth, because that script is going to get you with the life that you actually want to follow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
It's huge.
Now, it's really amazing conversation. I'm really enjoying this. Just to end this conversation with few rapid fire questions I have for you. Um, what's one rule you were taught that you now think is totally like bullshit, like BS, totally
Yeah.
BS?
One rule that I would say is, oh geez, there's a list of them. Let me think of a good one. Um,
Any?
I that as a mom,
Mm-hmm.
that I am less of a mom because I'm also building a massive career.
Wow.
And I
Mm-hmm.
love that my kids, that I got rid of that because
Mm-hmm.
I was a stay-at-home mom for 7 years because I
Mm-hmm.
believed as a mom that's what I was supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And now to see the conversations and the experience that my kids are getting to watch, because they see the good, the bad, all of it. They are watching mom rebuild, and I don't hide it from them because I want them to know that they can do it. We can all do hard
Mm-hmm.
things. And
Right.
so that's probably the biggest thing, that I'm less of a mom if I have a career, especially building my own platform and going through that pain of, working from 5 in the morning till midnight around my kids' schedule to build something. And the script has flipped on that, and it is the biggest amazing thing that I'm watching my kids learn and experience by watching me build something.
Mm. What is one thing that you have to unlearn, like to actually being able to be successful? What is the one thing, the
That
biggest
I
one
have
for
to
you?
be
Yeah.
somebody that I'm not, that I have to dilute myself because
Mm-hmm.
I don't fit the mold of success that
Mm-hmm.
again, as I saw growing up, that all of me is going to bring me massive success, is going to align me with the people that I'm meant to do life and business with. And so the biggest lie that I believed was that I wasn't enough, or that I was too much, and that
Mm-hmm.
I needed to be somebody else in order to be successful. And yeah, so now I bright pink is my color, and I wear Nike pumps, like high top Nikes and Nike Dunks everywhere that I go because it's my brand and makes people smile. And I'm going into major corporations wearing Nikes. I don't need to have stilettos. That's not who I am. That doesn't fit who
Amazing.
I am. This is who I am, and I'm going to bring all of that, and I'm going to speak on stages that are good with that because I want to remind their people that that's where their superpower is. So don't ever
Incredible.
delete yourself.
Incredible. Yeah. All right. So now, thank you so much for being here. This is so really, that's awesome. I really appreciate that. Where people can find about you more, and yeah, where they should go, just thank you,
Perfect.
or follow you.
Yes. So it's imjengray.com. It's at I'm Jenn Gray on social media platforms. Be Genuine podcast with a J is my podcast on all the platforms. I'd absolutely love to connect with anyone who's rebuilding, who feels stuck, who wants to live a life authentically. Let's do this together. We have so much more to learn together than to try to do this alone. So that's what I exist for, is to align with people who are looking to live their best life.
Amazing. All right. And for those, for everyone who listening, if there's still something in you, don't ignore it. Share it with someone who needs it. Subscribe, leave a review, and remember, you weren't born to follow the script. You were born to be free. Bye, everybody.